After 15 years of mixing with a sub, I decided to stop using one. And now my mixes are hitting harder than ever. Now this might go against everything you've heard, but let me explain, and by the end of this video, you'll understand why you probably don't want a subwoofer in your home studio. You might be saying, what about the lows of my mix? Well, that's easy. If you want a perfect low-end balance in your mix, just watch this other video I made on that topic. But this week, we are talking about neglecting the low end and focusing on what's really important. Before we get into that, if you are having trouble getting your mixes and songs to match up against other music out there, make sure to grab a copy of my home studio mix guide. You can grab that for free in the description. And hey, I even have a weekly mix training that I hold to help people like you get their mixes to another level. Now, when it comes down to it, when we are making or mixing music, the goal at the end of the day is to achieve a well-balanced mix that translates well across various playback systems. And a subwoofer does not help with that process. Let me explain this with 4 points. There is just such a wide variety of playback systems, and one of the areas that they differ the most is their bass response. Some playback systems accentuate the bass so much while others don't, until some people are listening on phones and laptops where those super low bass frequencies can't even be heard. So why are we spending so much time on the low end of our mixes when it's gonna sound different every place we take it? Not relying so heavily on a subwoofer will help our mixes translate better to other systems simply by taking our focus off the bass frequencies and focusing where it really matters, and that's the mid-range. Between about 100 hertz and 5K is the most important area of our song. This is the real meat of the mix, and if our song sounds good in these areas, it's most likely going to sound good on any device. People tend to focus on the shiny highs or the boomy lows, and again, these areas are going to sound different everywhere we take our song. If you focus on mid-range clarity instead of the sub frequencies, I guarantee you will have a more powerful mix that will translate well everywhere you go. And this leads me to my next point. Mixing with a sub can lead to excessive focus on the low end. If you have a sub, it might be the loudest speaker in your room, and that's where your attention's gonna get drawn to the most. I've had people send me mixes, and when I hit play, I can instantly tell that they've jacked up the low end, most likely because they think it makes their mix sound more impactful. But it actually does the opposite and makes the mix seem unbalanced. And they've probably wasted a bunch of time messing with the low frequencies. And again, this is most likely because their attention was drawn there due to their subwoofer. But it could also be just because of their room acoustics. Your room acoustics can significantly affect the performance of a subwoofer. And this is just gonna have a negative impact on your mix. If your room isn't treated right, it can produce inaccuracies in low frequency reproduction, making it hard to get the balance right. You might think you have just the right amount of low end in your mix, but the bass buildup in your room might be accentuating those frequencies by far too much. Now, I still have my sub down there, but I don't turn it on very often. I might check it during mastering or maybe towards the end of a mix, but a good set of headphones will do the job just fine as well. And hey, listen, if you really like mixing with a sub, that's great. I used to be one of those people, but I would never go back. Now, I'm not mixing house or electronic music or any genres like that. And maybe if I was, I would change my mind on this subject, because in those genres, the bass is a little bit more important and a little bit more heavy. At the end of the day, there's no right or wrong. I'm just here to share my experience with you and give you my opinion. Happy mixing, guys. Hey guys, if you like this video, make sure and go grab a copy of my home studio mix guide with your go-to EQ and compression settings for all your tracks. And also go ahead and register for my online mix training that I hold a couple times a week so that you can learn how to turn your home recorded tracks into a professional product.